Well, good afternoon again. Looks like we're almost out of seats, so I think we'll start up before anyone else wanders in. So ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, good afternoon and welcome to the Elliott Chapel here at Westminster Place. I am Major Robert Dempsey and I am the commander of the Pewaukee Squadron that meets over at the Chicago Executive Airport. Thank you for being here today to help us honor a great American and certainly a hero in the eyes of the Pewaukee Composite Squadron. Colonel Compton has been a special friend of ours and a very honorary squadron member for several years now. And we have had very enjoyable meetings with him here at the Presbyterian home. Usually they involve bringing cadets and cake with us. And today, sir, we brought cadets and cake with us. I also want to thank the people that made this day possible. Having a Congressional Gold Medal go through two houses, through the Senate and through the House, and be signed by the President is no easy feat. And it took a lot of effort over many years in order to get this topic on the schedule, to get senators and representatives to sponsor it and co-sponsor it, and then to have Americans like ourselves try and talk our representatives and senators into signing on to the bill. So, you know, if you ever watch the How Government Works, I mean, this was a great story in how government works. So it took about 3 or 4 years to really make this happen. This ceremony today is possible because of the committee that helped set it up, and I would especially like to recognize two individuals, Major Jim Griggs and Major Dave Gillingham. If you'd stand, please. So there's a great tradition with the Congressional Gold Medal, and in fact, the tradition is older than the country itself. The very first recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal is General George Washington in 1776. Since then, there have been about 175 recipients of the Congressional Gold Medal, and the list is no less impressive than General Washington himself. The Congressional Gold Medal represents the highest expression of the people's appreciation for distinguished achievements and contributions to the country. The very first recipient, as we said, was George Washington, and so pursuant to the bill signed by the President last April, I believe, the leadership of the Senate and the House held a ceremony in the Capitol Visitor Center last December, where the medal was officially presented to the Civil Air Patrol. Unfortunately, our dear friend Colonel Compton was unable to be there for that ceremony, so we have brought the ceremony to you here today, sir. Colonel Compton is a distinguished and decorated CAP member. He served as a pilot at Coastal Patrol Base Number 1 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, flying out of there for almost 17 months during the war. The Civil Air Patrol was organized 6 days before the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and the mission of the Civil Air Patrol was to do anti-submarine patrols, to help distressed ships, to try and identify survivors and get them set for rescue. They also dropped bombs and depth charges on enemy submarines when they saw them. They were Homeland Security before we even knew to call it Homeland Security. In the course of that, some 65 brave Americans lost their lives as volunteers in the Civil Air Patrol. 26 of those Americans were Coastal Patrol flyers. Can you please stand for the presentation of the colors? The colors will be presented by the Pewaukee Cadet Honor Guard, and following that, Lieutenant Mark Ricard will sing the national anthem.
broad stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Order, arms!
Please remain standing as we're going to have the invocation. We have a special treat today. The invocation will be given by Chaplain Captain Jill Paulson. But to feel the CAP roots in this room is incredible. Not just Colonel Compton and his days where he was part of the original Civil Air Patrol, but Captain Paulson has a deep, deep connection to the Civil Air Patrol. Captain Paulson's grandfather, Gil Rob Wilson, was the founder of the Civil Air Patrol. He invented Civil Air Patrol before there was Civil Air Patrol. And we are honored to have her with us. Please welcome Chaplain Captain Jill Paulson.
I'd like to see a show of hands. Who here besides Colonel Compton has served our nation through the military or has relatives who've served the nation through our military? Let's see. I know there are lots of hands up there. I want to say thank you to everyone here who has served our nation. This is wonderful. And let us thank God for our nation. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the United States of America, and we thank you for all those who have served its cause. We ask that you bless the memory of those who are no longer with us. Bless those like Colonel Compton who are still with us and have stories and wonders to share with us. And we ask that you bless those who are serving this nation right now, wherever they may be. Bless us that we might be beacons of your freedom. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Elizabeth Tisdall, Mayor of the City of Evanston. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I have a very simple job today. Colonel Compton, it's clear that your friends and your neighbors and your relatives are all very proud of you. But it is my honor and pleasure to let you know that the entire city of Evanston is incredibly proud of you as well. I have been mayor for 6 years, and I have never been to a Congressional Gold Medal ceremony, and I'm delighted to be here. And I'll tell you all something that you won't find out about Colonel Compton from the press release that you sent out or Googling him, but I found out from your daughter. He refuses to leave Evanston, so he is my kind of guy. So thank you, Colonel Compton, for all you've done, and I warn you that mayors are notorious for talking to other people a lot, and your story is going to get out around town. So if you get asked for speaking gigs at some of the schools, blame me. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome U.S. Air Force veteran and aide to Senator Richard Durbin, Ms. Alba Taylor.
Thank you. My name is Alma Mateo, and I'm a Senate aide to Senator Dick Durbin, a proud Air Force veteran. And I'm proud to be here, and it's an honor to read this letter that Senator Durbin has written to honor Colonel Compton. Thank you for inviting me to honor Colonel Compton for his service to in World War II as an original Civil Air Force patrol member. I regret that I can't be there in person today. On December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy, America first learned that it wasn't beyond the reach of those who wish us harm. Americans were shocked and rightfully scared. The American homeland was under attack, and our country was at war. The nation was in the darkest days of World War II, when more than 150,000 citizens concerned about the defense of America's shores volunteered to join the Civil Air Patrol. One of those volunteers was Colonel Charles Compton, who left his job as an advertising salesman at the Daily News in his hometown in Evanston, Illinois. The Civil Air Patrol was founded 6 days before the attack on Pearl Harbor, charged with patrolling U.S. coasts and providing surveillance and protection for military and supply ships. Flying out of the first operational Civil Air Patrol base in Atlantic City, Colonel Compton served on several missions to search for German U-boats and protected American ships as they sailed along the New Jersey and Delaware coasts. In its first 2 years, Civil Air Patrol pilots flew 24 million miles over the Atlantic and Gulf Coast to prevent German U-boats against U.S. cargo and transport ships. And by the end of World War II, the Civil Air Patrol was credited with spotting 173 German U-boats, attacking 57, damaging 17, and sinking 2. The Civil Air Patrol also escorted more than 5,600 convoys and reported 17 floating mines, 36 bodies, 91 ships in distress, and 363 survivors in water. These were dangerous missions, and success came at a cost. The Civil Air Patrol lost more than 90 aircraft, and 65 brave volunteers lost their lives. Last year, when presented with a certificate of the Congressional Gold Medal, Colonel Compton said, "A number of us in the Civil Air Patrol realized that there were many who gave so much more. We felt fortunate to return to safe haven at night. But our thoughts were with the convoys that sailed off into harm's way beyond the point where we could not accompany them. We honor the work they did." While receiving the nation's highest expression of national appreciation, Colonel Compton shined the spotlight on others. That is Colonel Compton's attitude. He was grateful to serve and was just doing his job. It's my pleasure to congratulate Colonel Charles Compton on receiving the Civil Air Patrol Congressional Gold Medal. On behalf of freedom-loving people everywhere, thank you for your service and a job well done. Sincerely, Senator Dick Durbin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Zahara Somani, representing Representative Jan Schakowsky.
Thank you so much. I am so honored and so pleased to be here because I am just awed in your presence, and I am pleased that I'm going to be the one remarking this. We actually had a fight over who gets to do this at our office, and we had to pick straws, and I was the lucky one. I never win, but this time I did. So I'm very happy. Let me go ahead and read the remarks. Dear Colonel Compton, I offer you my warmest congratulations as you receive the high honor of the Congressional Gold Medal today. I am so sorry that I cannot be here with you in person. I could not be more proud that you are receiving this well-deserved honor. The Congressional Gold Medal is the United States' highest expression of national appreciation for distinguished achievements and contributions, and must have the support of the House of Representatives and the Senate. I was honored to be with you 4 years ago when you rejoined the Civil Air Patrol at the rank of colonel and received the Civil Air Patrol's Distinguished Service Medal, awarded for conspicuous performance of outstanding service in a duty of great responsibility, where the position held and results obtained reflect upon the accomplishments and prestige of CAP on a national scale. I am thrilled the Civil Air Patrol has been honored with the Congressional Gold Medal and that you will be presented with this special honor today. This tribute is long overdue and extremely well-deserved. Thank you for your heroic service and congratulations on receiving the Congressional Gold Medal. Sincerely, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome United States Marine Corps veteran and representing the office of Representative Robert Dole, Mr. Scott Lietzo.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Colonel Compton, for having me here today. As a Marine Corps veteran, I love coming to events like this. I go to events all the time for Congressman Dole, and there's nothing like seeing the past of the people that fought for this country. The reason that I joined the military was because I heard stories of the past from my grandfather and my uncles who all fought in the wars, and I always got excited and I got proud of them. And I'm very proud of you, and I know that Congressman Dole is proud of you too, Colonel Compton. And when I looked at what the CAP was doing, and you did so many flight hours, and you guys did so much to protect our American ships coming through, and we needed that in a time when our country needed heroes the most. And I see a lot of young kids here today, and I just want to challenge you today to come up and talk to Colonel Compton and talk to other people that have fought in wars before, and get that history and learn it, because once they're gone, they're gone. And right now, you could look at the past and get good stories about how amazing these men were. I mean, just to volunteer and go off when you knew that you didn't have to is just impressive to me. And I just want to thank you. And Congressman Dole wishes he could be here, and he's very proud of you. And we want to thank you so much. And this award right here, being the highest medal you can get in this country, is just outstanding. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Michael Compton, son of Colonel Compton.
Thanks, Major Dempsey. Welcome, everyone. As you might imagine, I'm pretty proud to be here. I am proud of my dad every day, but especially today. I was lucky enough to be a cadet in the Evanston Squadron in CAP more years ago than I care to relate. Was there through most of my formative years, have great memories of not only the weekly meetings, but the summer encampments down at Chanute Air Force Base, and even the opportunity I got to spend a week with the Chicago Fire Department learning how to fly their helicopters. And that was just an opportunity I would not have been able to get anywhere else. For a number of my years in the CAP, our commanding officer was my dad, Colonel Compton. And while that made the meetings pretty interesting, we were able to carpool together, which was nice. And around the house, while I didn't have to salute him, I still called him sir. I'd like to read an excerpt from the foreword of a book called From Maine to Mexico that documents the role of the CAP and others during World War II to protect the coast of the United States. is written by Louis Kiefer, and I think it provides some context for why we're here today. There was a time in 1942 when Nazi submarines were bagging 2 or 3 vessels a day along the East Coast and in the Gulf of Mexico. The entire 1,200-mile sea frontier from Halifax to the Florida Keys was protected by some antiquated subchasers, 5 old Eagle boats, 3 ocean-going yachts, fewer than a dozen Coast Guard ships, 4 blimps, and a handful of airplanes. During those first desperate months after the United States was plunged into war, the Navy was spread far too thin to keep the Nazi sharks at bay, and the tankerman who sailed past Cape Hatteras alive counted himself lucky. 12 vessels went down in January, 42 took the plunge in March, and by May, the toll of shipping was so terrible that no figures on losses were released to the public. For several humiliating weeks, all coastal vessels were ordered to put up in harbors until convoys could be organized. Danger lurked along the waterfront. Mysterious blinkers contacted offshore craft at night. Enemy agents rubbed shoulders with sailors in bars and restaurants, alert for news of ship movements. Shortwave sets concealed in the attics and basements relayed information from towns and cities along the coast. 8 Nazi saboteurs, schooled in the arts of death and destruction, were actually intercepted by alert Coast Guard sentries. 4 Nazis landed on a Florida beach, and the other 4 near the eastern tip of Long Island after disembarking from submarines in rubber boats. The 245-foot transatlantic monsters spawned in the pens at Lorient, Bremen, Wilhelmshaven became brazenly impudent. They sank a ship in the mouth of the Connecticut River, potted 2 more in the St. Lawrence, and crept up into the lower Mississippi to threaten shipping plying out of New Orleans. Before dim-outs were ordered along the coast, the U-boats turned the waters off brightly lighted resort cities into shooting galleries, ramming torpedoes into sharply silhouetted tankers and merchantmen within sight of the boardwalk crowds. Sometimes, in order to conserve their tinned fish, subs blasted shipping with their 2 formidable 4-inch guns. On occasion, U-boat crews even hung out their wash and took sunbaths on the deck when their crafts came up to charge batteries. This was the desperate situation when, with much skepticism and little real support, the armed forces permitted the Coastal Patrol a 90-day trial period in which to prove its worth, operating from only 3 bases: Atlantic City, New Jersey, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and Lantana, Florida. To the surprise of none of the volunteers who served, the experiment succeeded, and during the next 18 months, more than 3,000 men and women left their homes, their jobs, and their loved ones to staff 21 different Coastal Patrol bases. During tens of thousands of missions, Coastal Patrol crews flew more than 24 million miles over water, spotted 173 submarines, dropped bombs or depth charges against 57 of them, and were officially credited with sinking or damaging at least 2. These accomplishments were paid for with the loss of 90 planes and the lives of 26 Coastal Patrol members, most of them drowned or frozen to death at sea. This is the story of the unheralded volunteers as told by 275 survivors of the fight, the pilots, observers, mechanics, radio and plotting board operators, linemen, guards, and office workers who served. Now in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s, these men and women tell of their satisfaction of serving their country, their excitement over the daily base activities, their ingenuity in improving the often primitive conditions in which they lived and worked, and their dedication in returning to the fight after harrowing crashes and ditchings of small planes in the ocean. They deserve the heartfelt gratitude of the whole nation. Now, there's one other thing I want to read that is not exactly having to do with Coastal Patrol, but I think it is certainly consistent with the spirit today. This is an article, sorry, Pop, but this is an article from the Chicago Tribune in 1947. Two 13-year-old boys were rescued from the lake yesterday by the pilot of an amphibious airplane who sighted them drifting helplessly in the yellow rubber raft 2 miles off of 61st Street. The raft was punctured and in danger of sinking as it was being driven rapidly out in the lake by a stiff offshore wind. The boys are William Josephson and Stuart Horn, both pupils in the Shakespeare Elementary School. Their rescuer was Charles E. Compton, 31, of 6865 Crandon Avenue, a radio time salesman. Compton, who pilots his own plane, sighted the life raft while pleasure cruising with two friends and immediately radioed the airport asking for the Coast Guard to be utilized to send a rescue boat. He then circled the Jackson Park Coast Guard station to wait for a boat to lead to the raft several miles away. Because a boat did not appear within a few minutes, he flew back to the raft and landed on the water. He threw the frightened and shivering boys a line and drew the raft alongside the aircraft. Josephson was wearing a German Army cap in addition to swimming trunks. If you're German pilots and were shot down, you're a long way from home, Compton told the boys. Compton bundled the two into his plane and began taxiing toward shore with the raft in tow. Near the shore, they met the Coast Guard crash boat, but Compton continued on with the boys. When he got them to knee-deep water near 57th Street, they waded ashore and recovered their raft. Compton then took off and flew back to the airport. So I guess search and rescue is part of the charter as well. And before I step down, Major Dempsey, I'd like to present a gift to the Palwaukee Squadron on behalf of my dad. In the CAP and elsewhere, technology is key to a lot of the activity. So my dad would like to present you with a radio-controlled quadcopter with built-in high-definition camera to make sure that your cadets can stay up to breast on the latest technology, and we hope it gets a lot of use within the squadron.
Thank you, Colonel Compton. I think the cadets are going to have to wrestle this away from the older folks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ann Compton.
Dad raised us four Compton kids, leading by example. He has a very, very strong sense of faith. He is deeply patriotic. He encouraged us and always taught us to respect and honor those who serve, and with it all, a generous dose of love. Dad has chosen to come here and live at Westminster, which thrills us because he knows he has friends and neighbors who share so many of the same ideals. Dad, we are incredibly proud of you, and we don't know what we'll be able to do about a month from now to help you celebrate your 99th birthday. Congratulations, Dad.
I'm hearing music. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the Illinois wing of the Civil Air Patrol, please welcome Colonel Maurice Givens.
I had a few things that I wrote down, but one of the consequences of multiple speakers is repetition. And I think we know that Civil Air Patrol was founded 6 days before Pearl Harbor, and a few other things. One of the things that hasn't been said, however, is that another of the tasks of the Coastal Patrol, as it was called at that time, was the towing of targets for artillery trainees. Now, I'm not sure I want to be the pilot flying an airplane with a target very close behind me and trainees firing live ammunition to see if they could hit it. You guys had courage, sir. Also, Colonel Compton has received a Distinguished Service Medal from the Civil Air Patrol for his endeavors during World War II. And we thank you for those services, sir. In 2005, I was given command of Illinois, and as the Illinois Wing Commander, one of my duties was to meet with Congress once a year. I met with each of our senators, I met with each of our representatives, our staff, and it was truly an honor to do such. However, I have not had an honor so great as this one. Thank you very much, sir.
Now I'd like to ask for the congressional representatives and for Colonel Givens to come up and present the Congressional Gold Medal to Colonel Compton. And Colonel, please.
Colonel, it is my honor and privilege to present to you the United States Congressional Gold Medal.
Thank you. Thank you, Colonel Gibbons, and all my friends and acquaintances and fellow residents and those watching here today. You really made my day. First of all, meet my Grumman G44 over here. It played quite a role in my life. Mike told you something about it. But I had one experience with it where I was flying the commanding general of the 81st Airborne on his first water landing. I said to him, General, how many times have you jumped? And he said, well, several times. However, I've been pushed a lot. My other story about the vision is when I was flying one day, and generally with the controls, the throttle controls are overhead. So when I lost number one engine, the only way to keep it going was to use a wobble pump, which is right above me. So I had the problem, I'm going to have to land this thing and still keep the engine running with the fuel pressure pump. And then I remembered that I was probably able to do that because I had taught my kids the dexterity
test was whether or not you could rub your stomach and pat your head at the same time. And I taught them that well, so I, with great confidence, was able to do that. Well, perhaps a typical day at the base while we were a daytime operation, because following the convoys was strictly at daylight, dawn to dusk. The first indication we got of what kind of a mission it was going to be was when we were on our way into the briefing room. We could tell if the munitions trucks were there arming the aircraft. If they did not come that day, that meant one thing: American submarines in the area. And they didn't trust us of being able to determine a friendly and a foe periscope depth. But we would go into a briefing room and would give convoy assignments, direction and speed, and we'd pick them up on the coast and follow them up, circling and giving a reassurance that they were protected, though it was hard to see much if there was much danger out there. But our mere presence, I guess I had heard later, that was a deterrence. After we were suited up, we would wear sometimes a survival suit, which we only used halfway up in case we had to ditch, put the rest of the way. But the rest of the equipment was microphones and of course, a Mae West. Now, a lot of the younger generation might not know what a Mae West was, but at least the older generation knew, especially when it was inflated. They would. So we would take the convoys up and down the coast, the colliers, tankers, and cargoes, and the toughest thing to do, as I've said before, was to wave them goodbye. We'd see them standing on the decks waving. They turned east in the harm's way, and we went back to a safe haven. Safe haven. So it was to them that we served. We helped the mission, and they made the mission. So thanks be to the Merchant Marine.
Ladies and gentlemen, America the Beautiful, as sung by Lieutenant Mark Ricard.
Colonel Compton, it's an honor to be here and an honor to sing for you today. I also am going to do something a little bit different. There are actually 3 verses to America the Beautiful. There are actually 5, but we'll only use 3. The first that I will sing is in honor of those who served in the military. The second is in honor of Colonel Compton and all of his accomplishments and all of his colleagues that were in the Civil Air Patrol. And for the third verse, the most familiar verse we'll sing, I would like all of you to join me in your own voice in singing America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for pain.
a few words of thanks before we end our ceremony this afternoon. Thank you to all who have attended. Thank you to all who have made this day possible, either long-term or short-term, helping put this ceremony together. And greatest of all, thank you to you, Colonel Compton, for all you've accomplished in your lifetime, all you've done with the Civil Air Patrol, the role model you have set for all other Civil Air Patrol members. I've been in Civil Air Patrol for almost 40 years, and this is my best CAP day ever. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the benediction by Chaplain Major Brett Lordy. Sir?
And most of all, it is good to be here together, to gather, to honor such a man as Colonel Compton. And so let us pray. Your source of courage and strength and goodness, dear God, bless all present here this evening, gathered to memorialize those who lived and died and who live still to preserve liberty and freedom in our nation and the world. We have gathered specifically this evening, this afternoon, to honor those members of the Civil Air Patrol like Colonel Compton who put their lives on the line during World War II in service to our great nation. We are forever grateful and glad their service has been recognized. May we remember all those whose sacrifice gave this nation its greatness, progress, benevolence. May our memory of those who served in the armed forces be an honorable one, full of thanksgiving. And may we remember with much love and mercy those who died in the service of the United States of America. Be with us all, gracious God, and provide us with traveling mercies as we return to our homes this evening. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Lordy. Now please remain standing for the retiring of the colors.
Retrieve the colors.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated, or please be seated while the official party leaves the podium. And I would encourage you to come up and look at the historical artifacts that have been laid up here from the early days of the Civil Air Patrol, uniforms that Colonel Compton and his comrades may have worn. Immediately following, there'll be a reception down the hall. I'm not sure what room. We call it the cake room, but it's in the cake room immediately following the ceremony. Again, thank you for being here, and please join us at the reception. looks like the official party is a little busy, so if you'd like to see our artifacts, please come up and see them.